Welcome back, everyone. I'm joined by Maxlaw, the victorious jungler in that game. Now, Maxlaw, you're 9-0, undefeated at the halfway mark of the split. How does that feel as an organization?
It feels pretty good compared to last split, where we just completely inted and it was just such a disappointment. We're not getting too hyped about it because we don't want to put extra pressure on ourselves, but still it's kind of nice to be like 9-0, you know?
I mean, the rest of us are getting pretty hyped for you. Like, people are starting to talk about the Fnatic 2015 18-0 split. Is that something that has entered your mind? Is that something that you look at as a goal?
I think it's probably entered the minds of all of our players, but we try to shut down those thoughts because it's a bit distracting. But still, like, as I said, as long as the zero's there, it feels pretty nice.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people would look at this game and say it wasn't as clean as a usual Misfits game. You know, when you were 3-0 up, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's done, Misfits going to perfect game this one. What was it actually that fell apart for you guys in the mid game?
We couldn't really find an easy, like, you couldn't play normally to break their towers. You couldn't just, like, it was very hard for us in game to come up with a way to break their towers playing normally. And eventually, as the game went on, we started thinking of more creative ways to, like, pick them off or create advantages for us so we can, like, end up doing Baron, right? That's the main call. And we eventually managed to come up with a way to do that.
Right. It worked out for you, and it's great to see that adaptation on the fly, not a pre-planned thing, but you actually changing your strategy as the game continues. Tomorrow you play up against Fnatic. Is there anything special or different that you do in your preparation for that game? Obviously, don't tell us the secrets, but do you change things around in the way you mentally prepare for some of these tougher teams?
Well, obviously, I have to prepare differently because I'm against a different jungler. To be honest, I was kind of like really looking forward to today's game because I really respect Memento as jungler, and I think he is pretty good. And last split, he just trashed me like 2 games in a row. So I'm happy that I came out on top today. Tomorrow, obviously, we are prepping differently for Fnatic because they pick different things and their playstyle early game is a bit different. But yeah, we'll try our best to win.
Good luck tomorrow. Hopefully 10-0. We're going to hand it back across towards Drakos, Vedius, and the Moose on the desk. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Medico. Now we are also joined by Misfit Gaming coach Moose for picks and bang. It feels weird to say, man. I'm gonna be honest with the new name.
The Moose.
No, he's Moose. He's just Moose.
Oh, you didn't have the?
Wait, are you the Moose or you Moose?
So you're
Coach Moose, you know.
Coach?
Versus
Yeah.
Coach the
Moose.
That's a good
Can't
point.
coach the Moose, folks. Not going to happen. All right, well, undefeated, first round robin, 9-0. Your player of the game this time around is going to be sengKX. That last clutch he also engaged. Definitely brought it home for him.
First quick question. Did he deserve player of the game as a coach?
Yes, this game.
Okay, great. The
I think
fans
it's the first time
see
I've actually
it.
agreed with the fans.
The first time they agreed.
Are you telling me Hans Sama didn't earn all of those player of the
Some of
games?
them were debatable.
Yeah.
I think now all 5 of our players have had an MVP. pretty
I don't know if Alfari has had one
He
yet.
got one last week.
Oh, okay, great.
We
Congratulations.
didn't put Hans Sama
Yeah.
on the list. That's how we do it. We're not fixing it, but we're trying to
But good job to sengKX. One of the things that we have said a lot about him over the last few weeks is that compared to last split, he has become one of the big carries. I thought when you looked at the beginning of the split, Misfits was going for the strategy of let's put him on safe kind of roam champions, utility champions, that he can just kind of be the team player. But then the Irelia, the Yasuo, and he's actually playing really well on them. A lot of growth this split has been made for sengKX.
He's definitely looked super good, and it's good to see that paying off, that investment into these players. I know a lot of us were skeptical when you first picked up Mickey and sengKX. It kind of showed in the first split, and now we're like, oh, maybe Coach Moose was right. All right, maybe we need to sit down and wait for the man to work. So things are working out well for the team. But on stage right now, we've got Unicorns of Love and Fnatic. Neon still playing in the bot lane for Unicorns of Love. Thoughts on this guy after week 1? He came in, Unicorns of Love had a pretty solid performance. How does he compare to Samix? What was your performance, opinion of his performance?
Especially for someone who's playing, I think it's his first time on stage.
Yep.
I'm pretty impressed by him because it doesn't seem like he's nervous or anything. It just kind of easily slots in so far, is what it seems like. I mean, it makes sense because the core of Unicorns is mid lane, jungle, and support. So it's easy to slot in, but he's doing fine.
Yeah, I've been impressed with what Neon has showed. I think that it is an unfortunate situation for the Unicorns because I know that they were practicing a lot with Samix, and unfortunately he did get ill, so they had to bring in the sub. But considering the circumstance they've been put under, I think that he did a great job.
And honestly, the best you can hope for in that situation. This feels like a Unicorns of Love lineup that's steadily starting to come together, looking a little bit better week to week. They have a man and a Viking.
Yeah, I
now.
also noticed that.
Classic Unicorns of Love. But this is kind of the question, because I want to talk about Unicorns of Love as a team. Historically, they've always made playoffs. Last split was the first time that they didn't. Is this a team, is this a lineup now that you guys are optimistic about making playoffs? Is it still looking rough for this lineup? What's the biggest thing holding them back at this point?
Well, go on.
I think they should make playoffs based on what we've seen in scrims, and even like to some extent on stage. I think I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's drafts or if it's nerves or like actual stage play, but they are one of the better teams of like the bottom half of the league.
So we've heard this a lot, and we've talked to a lot of teams about it. So talk to me, Moose, about how teams that perform really well in scrims but cannot translate it to stage practice, how does that happen? Why does it happen?
I mean, I wouldn't know anything about that at all.
No, not at all.
I mean, so like scrims are obviously scrims are obviously a little bit different in the sense that there's a lot of fighting, and so like Unicorns, for example, mid, jungle, and support core, they roam around a lot, they make plays with each other, and so in scrims there's going to be a lot of fighting and pressure, and teams will fall for that, and they'll look strong. Then you come on stage, and certain picks just are stronger on stage because they pressure more, and I think that's where Unicorns kind of falls off because they don't have the same amount of kills.
So the other thing I've also heard is that like your environment and comfort can also play a factor in that you're kind of used to scrimming at home, you are all next to each other, there's no audience, you're in your same chair, the same PC, everything is the same. Like, how big of a factor do you think these kind of external influences are in being able to translate scrims to stage?
I think it's more the mentality that you have in practice and also the mentality in your comms and how proactive you are and whether you practice that. Because for us, this proactive mentality was a huge issue in Spring Split, especially on stage, and we would try to practice that in scrims, but we didn't do a good job of that in practice either. And so I could imagine that maybe Unicorns is something similar, where they struggle to actually practice proactivity and then translate that on stage.
All right, and I want to see if they're going to do it. I just get an update. Teams are ready for picks bans. They are getting ready now. I do want to get some brief thoughts on Fnatic. However, this is a team that is 5-3. They've subbed out Reckless. We're not seeing him, but they're still climbing their way up, still looking for that top spot that they claimed in spring. Let's talk a little bit about what's going right for Fnatic, what's going wrong as we get closer to picks and bans. What's going wrong? Let's start there.
Well, I think that they're a very linear team in that they're very skirmish heavy. They look for a lot of early kills, and they look to fight very often, particularly in through their bottom lane too. And so when they aren't able to find these early kills, they continue to be proactive, and sometimes that can end up being their downfall. And given that they're quite reliant on it, I feel like that it's a strategy that some teams can do a good job of mitigating.
I completely agree with that. I think they rely a lot on their individual skill, and that's also kind of how they play early game. They just try to mechanically play better than you or outplay you. And in this meta, and especially with these champions in the meta right now, it's actually a really good way to play if they can execute on it. Fnatic is really good at that. The only problem with them is consistency. If they go even, how do they play? And if they fall behind, how do they play?
Yeah, and I think that Bwipo is one of the big inconsistencies for me, because while he is a very talented player, there are many times where he just gets caught out randomly or is someone that you can hard target focus down. And particularly in the draft, I'm yet to kind of see his champion pool limited, but perhaps there's a strategy that Unicorns of Love could look to take advantage of to then make him a point of attack.
Definitely eyes on Bwipo. Aatrox being banned away. Alistair, Yasuo, no real surprises yet in the draft. One ban left for Unicorns on the Love on the blue side. Do we expect to see something like the Swain, Inia, or other?
Pike, perhaps, for Hylissang?
I mean, they could go for that. I think they're just looking to ban out some of the flexes from Fnatic, and then you can kind of sort of tell where Bwipo and sOAZ might go in terms of bot or top. So I think they're looking to either trade or ban out Fnatic flexes.
Now, we do know that Heimerdinger is something that sOAZ likes to play and will bring down into the bottom lane, but Unicorns don't really consider it a threat. Perhaps they have an answer of their own. I believe Neon has played his own Heimerdinger game, so maybe they look to prioritize it. But when you look at some of the things that are still available in the draft, Talia has still been left open. Zoe is another big pick that I would imagine Unicorns would look to prioritize, given that it is a big comfort pick for Exileh.
We've seen Exileh be really good on it as well. Zoe just generally seems like one of the strongest blind picks, probably the strongest mid lane blind pick at this point. Would you agree, Moose?
I think she's really strong. The problem with playing it against a team like Fnatic is that they play Galio, and then there's like certain counterplays in terms of play style. Because Zoe's a very slow mid laner, and Galio wants to play a really strong pressure early mid game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic go for Galio over here. And considering the Swain and Vladimir are up, I expect Fnatic to pick one of those two up as well.
Seeing the Sejuani now locked in terms of goals for the competition, Exileh's gotten a comfort mid laner. We know Totoro and Kold are also key to this team's success. Is there any other picks we expect to see them prioritize here in the first pick phase? Is Fnatic taking their time here on that second pick?
I mean, Camille is a champion that kind of jumps out to me for the Unicorns. I don't know if you think that Camille Zoe as a duo is super strong, especially into Sejuani.
I think, well, first of all, I'm surprised that Fnatic showed Gragas top that early, but I think Camille is, against those two picks, I wouldn't want it because I think it's really hard. She can't really jump in and it's hard to make plays on side. So I'm not really sure what proactive jungle they can go for. Maybe Trundle here, actually.
Yeah, I can definitely see a Trundle. Not only is it a comfort pick for Kold, but I also think it works nice into the double tank. The only thing I would say is, you talked about that Gragas being top. A lot over in the LCK, we've seen it flex down into the support role too, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hylissang was willing to play it. There's always that possibility, but sOAZ is a very comfortable Gragas player, and he probably... he might just be saying, I don't care what you pick, WhiteKnight, I'm happy to play into whatever.
And the flexibility is important now too, especially as Unicorns of Love show a little bit of their hand here with the Heimerdinger, giving it to Neon, putting him on a pick that he was, to be fair, pretty successful with. Both of his games look pretty solid. He's not, you know, the all-star powerhouse Heimerdinger that we're used to for some teams, but he is looking good. Irelia now locked in. This is a pick that we've seen hugely deprioritized on 8-13, but Caps picking up it anyway.
I think with this, they're just saying they want to play through mid lane and just punish Unicorns mid jungle as much as possible. And I think that's a reasonable decision to take against Unicorns since they rely so much on mid jungle support. I think I like the Heimer pick for Unicorns as well because it can open up Totoro a lot to move around the map and try to pressure mid. So this is, I think both teams are drafting for the strengths right now. I like it.
What do you think about the 2v2 from Fnatic with Sejuani, Irelia going up against Zoe versus Trundle?
It kind of really depends on Caps and how hard he can snowball mid, because I think the later the game goes, at least Sejuani should get one shot if she ever face checks Trundle Zoe.
Right.
So it really depends on Caps and then whatever support they pick for Hylissang in terms of whether, if they have bot prio, whether mid support can actually pressure mid jungle and allow Caps to play as aggressive as he wants in laning phase.
Interestingly enough, Tahm Kench banned away, limiting Totoro's defensive options. Not one of the roaming supports we're used to seeing him on when Unicorns of Love are successful. Jarvan, historically a counterpick to Gragas in the top lane. The Unstoppable, of course, interacting with the barrel. Karthus feels like it must be a scrim target ban. This is not something that we've seen recently.
Yeah, I think they just... It makes sense for Fnatic, because it's really hard for Fnatic now to go Vladimir, for example, because Heimer's really good into Vlad bot. And so I think they will likely look for sort of an AFK push bot lane from Fnatic. So I think this is going to be possibly a Ziggs game for sOAZ.
I think Ziggs would make a lot of sense.
I feel like they're flashing that Camille. They might be heralding a support Gragas, but no, it will be the Fiddlesticks locked in. Unicorns will have now time to lock in their last two picks. What else do they need to round out this composition? We've got support and top laner waiting to be locked in.
So Unicorns right now, I feel are lacking a little bit of engage. They don't have a lot of ways to start fights. Fortunately for them, Fnatic do have a lot of engage, but when you're going up against a Fiddle, usually you don't want to let them start the fights because Fiddle is really obnoxious and difficult to deal with. I think that if you pick a Morgana, it does help in terms of the 2 versus 2, and the Black Shield is very valuable against those kind of setups, but I am a little concerned right now about how Unicorns actually start fights off.
I agree that, I mean, it's really hard for them right now because if they...
Ooh, there's a lot of
AP
magic damage.
Yeah.
Against 2 tanks, you have the Trundle to mitigate 1. That's a solid start. Mundo going to be locked in, a safe pick for WhiteKnight on the top side of the map. Giving him a save option feels right, but Fnatic going to take a second here to lock in their last pick as Hylissang does the classic hoverovers. But I'm curious now, we look at the Unicorns of Love comp. Let's talk a little bit about what it needs to do. What are the goals of the composition that Unicorns of Love have put together here?
Unicorns is putting a lot of tools for this Zoe. They just want a very slow early game. They just want to make sure that Caps doesn't snowball mid, and then it should be really hard for Fnatic later in the game to face check the Unicorns of Love if they ever get control anywhere. So they're looking for a very slow game where they can control one side of the map and then have people try to walk into Zoe and Heimerdinger, and neither team, or they won't really have a fast Baron condition, but they can just play to keep waves pushed and deny vision as much as possible. And Fnatic is looking more to snowball through mid lane especially, and I would prefer Fnatic's comp a little bit because I think they can do a little bit more in the early game. But it's a pretty even execution-based game, I think.
And you give me the perfect amount of time because now we get to see where the Gangplank and Irelia are going to go now that we've hit the 20-second mark. Don't know what lanes, but it will be Bwipo playing the Gangplank. It will be Irelia in the mid lane. The cleanse, I assume, tells us that Irelia will stay in the mid lane. The Gangplank with the TP will be going bottom. We'll find out shortly. Vedius, I want to ask you the opposite side. Fnatic, you heard from Moose, playing through mid lane seems to be their primary strategy. Is there anyone that you specifically have your eyes on here in the early game?
Well, I mean, the bot lane. I've never seen a Gangplank played up into a Heimerdinger. I always thought that it had the potential to be good because you could use the Q to farm on the turrets as well, I believe. And
I actually think it's going to be Gragas spot. I think they won the Gangplank against the Mundo.
Interesting. Because you would expect the GP typically to be against the Mundo.
Mundo is like one of the picks that's also good into Gragas. It's one of the few top lane picks that's good against Gragas. So I feel if they go Gangplank bot, they might just struggle with pushes everywhere.
I agree.
All right.
But then Gangplank Fiddle?
We'll
Gentlemen, it's interesting. We're going to find out, but luckily we don't have to answer those questions. The casters will. So let's head to the Rift. Let's send it over to casters. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much,
Wait, that's
Drakos.
a
Now, I would also like to welcome Christy Ender Frierson to the caster desk because this game, well, this game is too big for just 2 casters, so welcome,
We
man.
got the biggest guy.
Yeah, exactly. We added him in. Well, Unicorns Fnatic is always a classic matchup. It doesn't matter who's on the roster. There's always something interesting. And speaking of interesting, yeah, I have not seen. I wonder if this Gangplank is going bot. No, the minimap says otherwise.
I was very confident he would go top lane, but there's a grasp on sOAZ. And he's currently sitting top.
That's true. You don't take grasp against 2 ranged characters. That is
would
a
definitely
disaster.
not make a lot of sense for him specifically. We still have some time to swap it around if they want to. This might just be Bwipo farming some turrets in the bot lane.
That would be a difficult task. I feel like he has tools to get out of the CC chain of a Morgana plus Heimerdinger, but regardless, this will be an interesting task because usually as the GP you want an easy lane where you can farm up some monies, but that's not so easy in this one.
Yeah, now, obviously we've had a few swap arounds for what the supports have been here. Hylissang going a little bit different direction with the Fiddlesticks that's been popular earlier in the season. But we're looking at the shared champion pools that Unicorns and Fnatic have had for their support roles. It's all about those playmakers. Totoro, very comfortable on the Morgana with the Dark Binding lockdown.
Yeah, you say playmakers. I look at things that can engage fights. Not really the case here. Sure, Fiddlesticks can obviously go in with ult, but you typically die within like 2 seconds then. You actually want to sit back more and be more peeling focused. So it is a little bit new style for Hylissang in this game. The Morgana is obviously very standard.
Right, these picks are generally more focused on bullying around in the laning phase than they are getting out of the lane and making plays around the map, which is definitely a switch up for these 2 players because the biggest strengths of these 2 teams I really have felt like has been the proactivity out of both Totoro and Hylissang.
Yeah, in Europe, the meta really is roaming supports. Like, go to the mid lane. We see it from so many teams, especially when you have Caps and Exileh against each other. The entire chat is always around, which mid laner can get fed, and they need these supports to do well to actually get them ahead.
Exactly, like you look at these stats down here, the big one to call up is duo proximity. That's the period of time from 3 to 15 minutes, and the percentage of time that these players spend within 1,500 units of their bot laner, which is about the range of a Jinx Zap, so it's not that large, and because these players have such low percentages, that means they're always roaming around the map.
There's obviously why Heimerdinger is a great pick for both teams. You can leave him on his own and he will just hold that wave forever. Let's see if the GP can do the same, because it is bot lane. Coach Moose on the Analyst said now it should go top, but not in this game here. We're both sitting around trying to get a bit of a trade on the turrets.
And already this bottom lane from the Unicorns has gotten a shove advantage. That allows Kold to now walk inside of Broxah's own jungle and potentially contest around this blue buff with that priority.
There you have it. Kold already kind of walking in and trying to take away Broxah's lunch money here. That red buff versus the blue of his own. Totoro, Exileh. They're coming in for some friends here.
Wow.
Exileh might be able to get this blue buff. That'd be a great start off for Unicorns of Love, but it gets smited by Kold.
Surprised Broxah went back in to try and contest anything here. Maybe he's looking for a fight now, but there's multiple Unicorns members here.
Here we go. Caps moving in, looking for Exileh, but he's going to hit a big Paddle Star, only level 3, though. Not that insane Zoe damage we've been seeing. Trying to slowly walk away. Blade surges over to Totoro. Gets interrupted, flashes the wall.
Oh.
Dark Binding misses, and Caps gets away.
Really strange moves there out of Fnatic. Not just Broxah sticking around and trying to greet for the blue buff, but then also Caps walking in and looking for a fight himself. This is something you absolutely cannot do when you don't have the priority out of the bottom lane. Totoro made that an unequal fight and gave UOL a huge advantage.
A little bit of a strange move there, too. Totoro, he comes back into the bottom lane as well. So the game starts out, you look at these 2 teams, and you're always going to expect Fnatic to be the stronger one, even though they haven't been as strong this split as they were as champions in the spring split. But Unicorns have a history of giving them run for their money, and they clearly have got Fnatic a little spooked, it looks like.
I mean, Unicorns a lot is getting praised by all the other pro teams, and they always talk about Kold, Exileh, Totoro being a great combination in this meta. You fight a lot, you get your mid lane hit. Bot lane!
Fighting a lot. Oh my goodness! So Unicorns didn't see that one coming. Fnatic pull the wool over their eyes and get the first blood.
I mean, usually you're not seeing Gangplanks get kills in lane at level 3, but it's so much pressure out of this Fiddlesticks pick. The fear duration was absolutely absurd.
And the fact that it's instant fear.
Yeah.
It is so hard to Black Shield against a flash fear. It might even been on cooldown, I think, from an earlier trade, which is why Hylissang also went for it. Not a trade.
Looks like we're going back and forth. That is a lot of time to be locked down. Hylissang doesn't have a whole lot of mana to fall back on, but he does stay alive. This bot lane's getting spicy.
I mean, this is not the 2v2 matchup we were expecting to see, but it's fun so far. I was about to say how the Fiddle pick with the GP felt a little bit strange, because normally Fiddle want to be paired with like a hard pushing laner as well, and you just like perma hit the enemy turret. But now, of course, with GP, you are sitting back a little bit more in the lane. Until this happened, and Hylissang is probably just there to make sure they don't get pushed in too often.
Exactly. It's sort of those picks try and nullify the laning phase and give some pressure to an otherwise lane that wasn't going to go that way.
So let's see here. I mean, they just see Neon in the brush, and yeah, instant flash Q. You can't really Black Shield that unless you predict the initial flash. Obviously, another thing also with the lane is barrels plus the E from Fiddle, like you can kill turrets pretty effectively.
Right, and on top of that, the burst damage from a Gangplank at level 3 when he's able to not just get a parlay down, but also proc that passive is quite a bit there.
Yeah, well, welcome to the LCS. Neon, he's had a couple of games now. In his third, he gets chunked out, but he has had a pretty solid performance overall. Can't knock this guy coming in the middle of the split and actually showing up well for the Unicorns.
Yeah, it was a tough situation for Unicorns, tough situation for Neon as well, being kind of thrown in. There was some talks about this earlier in the split that it might be necessary, which is why they wanted to sign a carry that could actually be LCS ready. It was an important thing for the team, knowing the risk of Samax and his problems.
Right, and he seemed to fit in very well last week. Actually, it wasn't necessarily that he was making a ton of these crazy plays, but it was the fact that he went even in a lot of his lane matchups, even though he got no support from the rest of his team.
And now he's stuck in this really annoying situation where he's dealing with GP and a Fiddle just killing his turrets. He's actually giving just more gold over with the Bwipo. Kold is around bot lane.
Oh, Bwipo, he eats an orange, it's cave, but is it going to be enough to get him out of harm's way? Excellent fear on Kold, and Neon, meanwhile, getting chunked a little low. We check back in with mid because it looks like Caps wants to go all in onto Exileh. Level 6 versus level 6, but Caps takes the kill.
Caps finding the solo kill in the mid lane. This is the player we wanted to see after MSI. Great stuff out of him with that counter pick he got in the draft.
And whenever we see Irelia and you see the stun land, you feel like, okay, all in is coming. The reset on the Q is a big deal, can always stick to the target. He lands the ulti after. Exileh simply goes down, and this is exactly why Caps is bringing Irelia back. A champion that kind of disappeared in Europe after some pretty big nerfs.
Yeah, we saw some nerfs, but if it's a matchup you're comfortable with, like clearly Caps is in this one right here, and has kill threat onto a Zoe at level 6, you're absolutely going to take that and try to abuse this mid lane advantage.
Kold telling his team, I will never go bot lane again. I didn't get the Black Shield in time, so we didn't get the kill. I had to flash in to try and stop the guy. And when I did it, my mid laner just died 1v1. So everything just went wrong for Unicorns in terms of where they actually moved their jungler.
I mean, you joke, but it does seem to be a strategy that works for Unicorns to send Kold into the mid. And Exileh's going to need some more help because we've got another all-in here. Gangplank getting a little bit of an assist, and Exileh, we've seen this movie before.
I just realized he must have had cleanse before as well.
Yeah, he didn't use the cleanse in the first engage.
And this time it was used after the stun actually already expired. Extremely slow use of that defensive ability, and Caps is now 2-0 in that mid lane.
And when you're playing Zoe against Irelia without a flash, it's basically a death sentence whenever you walk forward to try and last hit minions in the mid lane because you can so reliably land the stun. The ultimate from Zoe doesn't actually get her out of dodge. She's forced to come right on back, and that's a huge disadvantage to have.
Kold is angry, he's bot lane.
All right, he does separate Hylissang from Bwipo. Hylissang's not going to be able to go anywhere. Neon picks him up. That's a much-needed kill. Gold in the pocket of the Unicorns bot laner.
Yeah, and this whole start has actually forced Unicorns to pay attention to the bottom side, to try and shut down this farming GP who's otherwise just going to outscale them completely. It's not the camp mid lane anymore.
Exactly, and when you have a bottom lane like this, for immobile champions don't have a lot of good ways to get out of CC, you're 100% going to see a focus around that lane. But right now, Broxah wants to punish Exileh again.
Goes over the wall, and just when he thinks he's out of the woods, double time, and Caps picks up his 3rd kill of the game.
Nothing you can do in his mid lane anymore. You ended up wasting cleanse last time, so it's an easy setup. I even think with the cleanse, you probably would have died again. No flash on the Zoe. Exileh, it's one of those games.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Wait a second.
Not just Exileh. Caps is going even further in. He goes all in. He gets the flash out. He gets to live. This guy's 4-0.
Come on, guys. Caps is just popping off in this mid lane up 20 CS, 4-0, as you mentioned. This is a lost cause for the Unicorns in the mid lane.
All right, let's see it again. So level 6 on Exileh. No cleanse, no flash, easy kill. Kold is like, fine, I'll catch the mid wave. I can actually stay alive. At least he thinks he can.
And then he can't.
And I mean, it's a 2-level lead for Caps right here. He actually still has the ultimate. He didn't use that to get the kill onto Exileh, and that's something Kold didn't expect.
Is the individual skill that people talk about when they talk about this Fnatic lineup, how they try and win games. And Caps, I mean, we had Foxdrop earlier doing the Reddit check saying he was his current MVP candidate. He's showing this game why.
And the biggest issue here for the Unicorns, actually, they're going to be making play in the bot lane.
See if they can make it happen. Come right back around. The channel gets interrupted on the Fiddlesticks. He's going bye-bye. Exileh picks up a needed kill. Teleport, though, coming back down. Bwipo flashes out. sOAZ body blocking. The 2 top laners helping each other out there. Broxah and Caps have arrived. The cavalry. Unicorns don't want any further fighting just yet.
Man. Wow, the crowd has come out in force here in Europe. Even when Unicorns make the proactive play around the bottom lane, I really liked what they did because I was about to say that it was going to be so hard to make plays around the map when they could never have mid lane priority again, but Exileh realized he has to bail out of there. Bot lane is the place to be for the Unicorns.
Yeah, he does pick up a kill that's going to help him out just a little bit, but for Fnatic, we've talked about a weakness maybe being they need to force these fights as, oh, just stop, he's already dead!
Give him a chance, man.
Come back.
All right, Totoro, he's trying to make a comeback play here. Caps does get chunked a little low. It's a 3-man stun. Can they do it? Unicorns. Kold is coming up with 1. Looking for 2. Not going to happen. It's a 1-for-1 trade, though, in mid lane.
Man, if they just had a little bit of extra range right there, that could have been such a huge turnaround. Still, they trade 1 for 1.
Almost a 5-kill bounty here for Kold, but nope. Caps managed to run away, sacrifices Broxah.
That's a fat bounty, Deficio.
It is a big one now on this patch. So their ways back for Unicorns. It's going to be one of those games where it's just non-stop fighting everywhere because that's what Fnatic is drafting for, and that's how Unicorns want to play the game.
We just take one more look at it. Again, it's Broxah literally bullying Exileh in this mid lane, but Totoro gets a fantastic turnaround here, rooting Caps underneath the turret, and then getting that 3-man soul shackle to set up the return kill.
That is not often you get the 3-man here in the early game, but sadly for Unicorns, Caps is the one walking out with all the gold. Broxah is simply there to try and give Caps all the gold in the first place. Kold, good play here from Unicorns after that little fight in the mid lane. Did manage to get the Rift held. Meanwhile, bot lane is taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, because Totoro has been actually leaving this mid lane so frequently to either assist Exileh in that mid lane or invade with Kold, there's been a lot of damage on this turret when you would never in a million years expect a Gangplank to actually be threatening that.
Oh, surprise party, not going to happen. Neon Totoro just back out the edge. A little bit of a storm. Crow's not going to be enough there. Hylissang, he walks away.
Really ulti, sadly. One of the funniest things about playing Fiddle is actually the ulti, so when you do completely miss it, it feels terrible. I think Hylissang right there was probably expecting Unicorns to step forward a little bit and try and meet the wave early and try to get then the instant fear on Neon. However, that was almost too easy for Unicorns to
Neon just didn't RSVP to the party. It just wasn't going to happen.
It's the wrong skin as well.
That's true. He went for the candy stuff, which I'm just not into, but really it's this bottom lane. Man, I'm so excited to see how it keeps progressing because I really do feel like either jungler can come down here at any point in the game possible and just get free kills.
They've been trying so far. Kold has found the kills, at least down the bottom lane. While that happened, though, this GP is still pretty far ahead. It's like a 1,200 gold lead, I believe, at this point for Bwipo as well.
See if he can hold on to his tower, though. There's going to be the Rift Herald popped.
Trying to break it open. They have the Heimerdinger pushing. GP ult to clear the wave.
Brought Exileh.
Fnatic trying to defend here.
They're going to go for the dive here. Let's see if they make this one happen. And distraction with the Rift Herald. He gets one good charge on. Here comes Neon, but he's only got a cannon creep to help contest this. And this one was over before it began.
Oh, I think Neon might have... No, I actually think his W was ready. Bwipo was wide open.
Yeah.
That was a massive chance of just ult W from a Heimerdinger, and I'm pretty sure he kills him.
And because Exileh actually walked all the way down to that bottom lane, he's now losing minions towards this mid lane turret. Fnatic feels like almost could have stuck around, but again, it's Totoro who's actually leaving his own bottom lane. So Unicorns actually rotating around the map, trying to make an advantage happen, I feel like are losing out a bit in the process.
I respect the camera people here actually showing us there are top laners in the game. WhiteKnight.
Really?
He just walked in the river. It didn't actually do anything. He's just
First
in the
time I've
river.
seen him.
I don't know, man. That looks like fake news to
Hey,
me.
he's getting a Rift Scuttler. He's
Oh, what?
part of the team's progress here. Great job, WhiteKnight.
But you know, that's not important. What is important is Kold's back in the bot lane. Here comes Bwipo, trying to go. Let's see, gets subjugate on. Can he walk away? There's the grenade. No more oranges to eat, but do they have the damage? They just want to get under tower. But Hylissang turns it around. He's got on top of Neon. And look at Caps and Broxah. About enough time for them to come to this party. And it looks like it will be Unicorns going away. Kold, he's gone down, and they just couldn't find a thing but Hylissang.
Yeah, Unicorns go a little bit too deep, and Fnatic are there to collapse and punish. They kept trying to make the play around that bottom lane, but couldn't quite manage to get the kill onto Bwipo.
No, everything just went wrong. Totoro had to walk away early because he was low. There's so many things bouncing around and barrels. And then suddenly Neon misses every single missile from the Heimerdinger. And that's a bot lane turret dropping. That's a Drake as well going down. And Caps, he's on 6 kills now.
Well, I mean, the solo gold also going into the pocket there of Bwipo. Bwipo actually has a larger advantage over Neon than Caps has over Exileh
Kleptomancy, baby.
From the Kleptomancy, from the first turret, and also from that passive. Makes it so oppressive to deal with now that Fnatic have a 5k gold lead.
And whenever you had these like big bruiser comms and it's all about, you know, fighting, getting these early kills on the correct targets is just the best thing possible for your team. So the fact that Caps is getting everything is so good for Fnatic. Let's see the play again. No flash on GP. It all makes sense. Totoro gets forced back by the barrel. He can't get close due to all the damage bound and Neon. He thought he could maybe kill Hylissang during the channel, but it was too late, man.
Yeah.
Too late.
That was rough. Hylissang lived for so long in the process, bought the time for Caps and Broxah to end the fight. And for the first time, it feels like this game, it's actually Exileh that's left there farming in the mid lane and not making that rotation down to help out his duo.
I also think it's important to highlight Neon on the Heimerdinger. It's a rough game for him to play because a lot of stuff is happening around the bot lane, but he's had openings, I think, to make some big plays. And he's kind of missed some of the crucial ones. And if you play against Fnatic, and it's all around this individual skill matching up, you have to be able to go toe-to-toe with their players. And not been the case for the bot lane here of Unicorn so far.
Well, they're going up to the top lane. If you can't succeed in one, move to another. sOAZ, his little farm fest is going to get interrupted here. A little help from Bwipo, but it's not going to be enough. sOAZ gets yanked back in, but will WhiteKnight live through the channel? The Mundo healing is going to be enough, but look at the push down bottom for Fnatic in response.
I mean, Bwipo and Hylissang just never stopped. Caps, too, is pushing the minions into this turret, and the rest of Unicorns have to come back to the base and defend.
Exileh forced to flash away. Now he has the Hex Flash. Neon and Kold will secure the tower up on the top. This seems like a poor trade. Exileh portal jumping back forward. Oh, and he's going to get deleted. Caps, once again, 7 kills in this game.
Oh, Exileh. Just, the moment he has to flash away, you need to just leave. There's no way for you to step back in here. You will just die. Caps takes him down. No stopwatch either. Anything to try and defend under the turret. Bot lane also dying. So 5k gold lead will get even bigger now that this Irelia is just taking over the game.
That's actually just crazy. We talked about it, when you don't have the flash on the Zoe, you will just die in this matchup. And now that Fnatic have 4 turrets, both outers and inners in the mid lane and the bottom lane, it's going to be so easy to control this side of the Unicorn's jungle and just try to choke them out of the rest of this game.
This is the plan now for Exileh. He's always like, you know what, I'm behind. Let's keep stacking the bounty. Let's get it to max stacks.
And then you collect later.
Yeah, he's doing the proxy singed right now.
Take it later.
I'm familiar with this one.
Big chunk of gold. Question is, do you give it back to Exileh? Do you give it to Neon? You know, they have to decide that one, but... Ooh.
If they get a chance, Totoro forced to flash away as Bwipo deals a heaping helping of damage. He's going to take a quick little nap, but he goes gold under the tower and just in time avoids the paddle star. I think it's a fadeaway shot on Exileh, who just can't quite find the kill.
And that damage from the Gangplank, it's an 18-minute finished Stormrazor and Trinity Force. That is such a fast clip on this champion, and an insane power spike as well, because the barrels, they can crit. It is a guaranteed crit coming through from that first barrel, thanks to that Stormrazor. Makes his burst nuts.
Isn't that item also getting buffed?
I think so.
A little bit more. Good old GP.
GP loves all those changes.
Yeah, everyone thinks about the AD carries. It's actually
hey, you can play. He's kind of ranged. You got a parlay pistol. Like, he can count as like an AD
Hey,
carry.
top lane is in the game.
Yes, they are. WhiteKnight, a little more damage to sOAZ, and yeah, that's about it. They tried, though.
Actually, Kold, though, he's walked down here. He's actually looking for sOAZ.
Okay, sOAZ, he does get the dash up over the wall, but meanwhile, Fnatic's attention is more focused towards the top side of the map, where it looks like we'll be seeing a trade of outer towers once again.
Yeah, well, trading turrets here is good for the Unicorns, but they have to be very careful they don't lag behind, because Fnatic have been so on top of things. They're now going to be stealing away camps in this top side of the jungle and threatening onto that second turret, and it hasn't felt like Unicorns are responding.
It's the point where no one wants to go to the lane where Caps is sitting to defend his turret. They're all just being like, nope, not me, you go over there. Meanwhile, mid.
Oh, they dropped the CC train, but it wasn't going to happen because Bwipo ate the orange, and he's trying to push them back once again. Teleport coming in for Unicorns. Desperation plays they're trying for. Hylissang is chunked out and caught on the wrong side, but look at what's happening with the tower being taken down. WhiteKnight chasing Bwipo. Cue the Yakety Sax. This is what's getting a little silly here. Bwipo's going to fall, but so is the tower.
Will we get another fight? Caps is here, the big raid boss, looking for someone. All of Unicorns around. No one wants to face check.
It's a very tenuous situation right now, because
they back
Fnatic, you can just see the gears spinning in Fnatic's mind, like, are we strong enough to 4 versus 5 this without Bwipo? Maybe. Caps feels like he's 2 players right now.
If someone face checks, you can probably kill him instantly. Like, at the moment, Kold is not very tanky on the Trundle, and he's probably the one who gets to send in first together with WhiteKnight. Million turret going down, so Unicorns, they're buying into the hype. They're buying into all these crazy fights. There's a good TP behind.
Oh, but Caps is here, saving his tower, goes in, Vanguard's edge, looking for the deletion. Neon, he's gonna stay alive for now. Hylissang pops his ultimate as well, but Kold and the rest of Unicorns feel like they can fight this one out. Exileh is gone before the fight even gets started in proper. WhiteKnight does get 1 kill for his trouble staying alive and all. This is a little bit tense right now as Caps goes legendary, picking up 2, and if there was ever a doubt in the minds, that one is all wiped away. Fnatic heading for Baron.
Caps solo engages that fight, gets 3 kills for his team, and sets up wonderfully for Fnatic to try and close this one out quick.
He didn't get the fight before. He was hoping for it in the top lane. Didn't happen. He just walked straight down mid instead. Unicorns are not done yet.
They're going right back in for this. You have to give some credit to Unicorns. These guys are bold. Totoro throws on the chains, but Bwipo's going to end him before it even happens. Neon, he's wandering around here, but he's not going to be able to stop anything from happening. The steal, it's not going down. However, he does chunk out Bwipo. For the time being, Baron does get taken by Fnatic.
He's so dead.
He's so dead.
Oh, Neon.
No, flash!
Oh! That hurt to watch.
No! He TP'd for that, to flash into a wall.
On the bright side, he made us look really smart, though.
Yeah.
Because for a second, he was not going to be dead.
It's true. That's when you know everything can just go wrong.
Yes.
10-0 Irelia, and you just flash into a wall.
I mean, scratch the record right before he did it, and like, this is me. You're probably wondering how I got in this situation. Unfortunately for Neon, he's not having the best game of his career so far, but it's just been rough across the board for Unicorns because Fnatic have come in with this skirmish-heavy style and executed it well.
I mean, Fnatic just love to go for all these fights in the early game, and when they get an advantage, they absolutely tear people apart. Caps was able to chunk Neon out of that fight so early. The explosive cask as well zones out all the DPS from the side of Unicorns. The rest of the team isn't doing much.
No, so little they can really do. In the end, they needed just another hit maybe on Caps, but I think everything missed. In terms of the Heimer grenade flying in, that was actually the one upgraded from Neon, specifically. I feel kind of bad for Kold. I actually think he's done everything he could. He's tried to go down bot lane, get his bot lane ahead. He went top lane, tried to shut down sOAZ. Like, he's been very active around the map. He only died at one time in the mid lane to Caps where we could criticize it.
That looks like, oh, Neon, he has got just a few seconds of life left, but it's not going to be enough as Bwipo pops him down, and Hylissang going into the last ticks of that Crow Storm. And Fnatic looking to close this one out. It has been an absolute stomping this game, and it's all going to be just the rest of the base. WhiteKnight and Exileh left to defend.
It's been a complete bloodbath, and it's all around Caps in lane, getting all the kills. He's 11-0 right now on Irelia.
Absolutely popping off, and it's just Exileh and WhiteKnight left to defend this base. Fnatic, they're going for the end.
Here we go. Exileh, he's holding that flash in his pocket, but I think he's not going to have any amount of flashy enough plays to try and get these kills. Bwipo a little bit low on the health bar, but Fnatic still playing it out nice and safe. They will not end here. As Totoro's come back up, Exileh, he wants to get the kill! He got Hylissang!
I definitely thought he got 2 kills right there.
Yeah, so did I. There was a flash at the last second from Bwipo.
Oh, there we go again.
He's not done. Keep going, Exileh. You need more kills here.
That was his actual flash.
Can't follow. WhiteKnight trying to chase.
If only the Unicorns could get that kill onto Caps. That is actually just so much money waiting for them to earn, but it's almost impossible now with 3 items, the Sterix Gauge as well as the Titanic Hydra. You're never killing that guy.
All right, this is the engage from before here. Obviously, Neon is trying to wave clear. The moment he steps forward, he instantly gets engaged on. Hylissang playing one of those games where Fiddlesticks can just jump into the back line and never die.
And it's really important, too, to see Hylissang flash in and fear the Morgana, meaning she can't get a black shield off onto anyone else. There's going to be no safety for the carries on the side of the Unicorns. Good move out of him in that play.
We just jumped out of replay without a fight.
First time for everything.
That's definitely the first time. I feel like every single time we're in a replay, we're just kind of waiting. The observers will pull it down instantly because someone else is dying.
I mean, we've had more kills than we've had minutes in this game right now, Deficio, so I'd say that is 100% accurate.
Well, looks like it's going to be a Mountain Drake easily taken by Fnatic. Another 10 seconds and the Baron will be back up on the Rift. Unicorns are going to need to do something if they want to stop this bleeding because their base, they've got almost nothing left of it.
They're going to be mad at you for that comment because they've probably done too much. That's kind of been the issue. They've been taking too many fights where they simply couldn't get the kills they needed, or they've been trying to defend mid lane against Caps, and he's just killed them.
I mean, because at the start of the game, it actually looked really rough for Fnatic. You know, Broxah had to flash very early on during the invade, Caps as well, but it didn't even matter. Caps still came up with the solo kills in the middle lane, and what went from being close, even UOL sided, first 5 minutes, went entirely the way of Caps and the rest of Fnatic.
Caps might not be done stacking kills just yet. I've just heard word back from the stats team that he's getting really, really close to the most kills by a single player in the Summer Split. It's actually currently at 12. Let's see if Caps can maybe max that one out before the end of this game.
I assume there's going to be at least one more fight for him to grab a few kills.
Portal jumping, Exileh trying to hold the line here. They've got a stun off. Bwipo, he's going to get shunned. He's shut down. That's 5v4 right now. Can Unicorns maybe turn this around? Here comes the Fiddlesticks. Hylissang going in, Caps right behind him. Blade surging for one, looking for a second. And he's rooted up under tower, but he's staying alive. And the rest of the team is getting cleaned up. Broxah taking down Kold.
Well, that's 13 kills for Caps. He's actually on the Nexus.
He doesn't need to take the inhibitors. He's going to go ahead and just grab this one all by himself. Wait a minute, pad those stats one more time. How about 14, maybe even 15? And he hasn't died this game. The immortal Caps looking to stack it up. Shut down Gold, 15 kills in a Nexus. GG and good night.
I mean, this is the Fnatic playstyle right now. A lot of fighting, some creativity in the pick and ban phase with the GP bot. We did not expect that, but they tried to get a combination to kill some Heimer turrets in there. In the end, while there were some kills in the bot lane, we had like 4 early kills for Caps in mid. Like, that's where the game is decided.
That was nuts. And all that is on a post 8.13 Irelia. Ender, you were on the playtest team. Is it about time to hit those nerfs again? I know that was an old meme.
I mean, every other team in the ULCS is like, yeah, she's nerfed, we don't need a player. But Caps was, you know, saying, I like this matchup, and he made that matchup look really good. If it's only Caps playing Irelia, then this champion probably needs nerfs.
That's a bold statement, but I'm glad you're standing by it.
Whenever we see a draft where teams give first pick Zoe over and there's like, you know, a really good carry mid lane on the other side, you always get a little bit excited. You know, you start throwing out around different predictions for what kind of pick could show up, because we know there are a lot of bruisers or assassins that can get picked against Zoe to try and do exactly what Caps did here. I didn't expect the Irelia. I'm happy we got it. He's probably gonna get interviewed. So we're gonna talk about how he solo killed the enemy mid laner like 10 million times.
Oh, good predictions.
Yeah, I needed a little help from Broxah in a few of those plays.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he was already like 2-0 when
so
Broxah
bad.
decided to show up in the mid lane. And it's rough for Unicorns because everyone knows they want to play through that mid lane, and Fnatic, they just completely shut it down.
They very quickly had to abandon that and go bot lane instead, because there was no way for them to win the fight in mid after Caps already got so far ahead. But people always talk about Unicorns, scrim versus stage. Like, this was basically a scrim game for them. They were non-stop fighting and kills. This is the style people are praising them for. Back in scrims, did not work for them against Fnatic because the mid laners fell way too far behind.
Yes, indeed. Now, remember, you guys are deciding your player of the game, which stands between
Yeah.
Broxah, Caps, and Bwipo. I think I know what Deficio is going to pick, but we want to know what you guys want. So head over to @LOL Esports on Twitter. Give us your pick. And I think I know what I'm going to do.
Oh, it's a hard choice, Pyra.
Very difficult, very difficult. But for more on that game, let's go ahead and check in with Medic and Fnatic's mid laner.
Thank you very much, Pyro. I am joined here by Caps. Congratulations.
Thank you.
15-0-3. Most kills from a single player. We've had this split. Is there something in the water in the Fnatic house that just makes you really good on Irelia?
It was for Hylissang. He was playing against his old team, and we didn't want to put him in a mental trap, so we tried to do our best.
So you just decided to hard carry the team for once?
Yeah, I mean, especially, it was both we're playing against Unicorns, and we're testing some new things, and we want to be at our peak kind of when we're playing against Misfits tomorrow, so we definitely need to step up if we want to beat them.
Because as an individual player, with Reckless being out of the squad, you've kind of really had to step up and take the mantle as the key guy, the guy that everyone talks about when they talk about Fnatic. How has that been for you developing over the course of this split?
So I feel like even starting like MSI, we started playing a bit more around mid compared to earlier, where we usually try to gank bot and stuff. It's definitely been a good transition for me, at least, because I like getting more attention, obviously. But we had some flaws in our play overall, and it's slowly getting better. And I hope. I mean, we showed. I mean, I don't know what we showed today, but I hope we can show that we're really strong as a team in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, you showed you're pretty darn good on Irelia for sure. Misfits continues to go undefeated. You play up against them tomorrow. Do you think you have enough in the tank to take down Misfits?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of surprises ready. I don't think they necessarily saw the Irelia coming. I don't think they saw the GP coming. Even the Fiddle, we have a lot of picks we hadn't shown that much before. So we have a lot of things ready, and especially for Misfits, there's a lot of things coming for them.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great game tomorrow. We're going to hand it over to our analyst now. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Medic.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
The gauntlet has been thrown, and now I have a question for you, Moose. Did you expect the Fiddlesticks Irelia Gangplank?
Fiddlesticks wasn't surprising.
Okay.
Irelia Gangplank was surprising.
What about a 15-0-3 Irelia?
I mean, we said that they have to play through caps.
Caps played through caps.
So Fnatic played to their win conditions.
They definitely did.
They have caps on the roster.
Yeah, that definitely worked.
It happened. It worked out well for the team across the board. Now, one thing we did talk about was the unique picks and the Gangplank. We didn't expect this. It looks like Unicorns of Love didn't expect this either, and you saw that when they pull out this first blood on bottom lane. How do you actually prepare for something like this when you're going up against Fnatic?
Yeah, Moose, how?
I mean, if you know that you're going to play against something you've never played against, then you just have better macro than them. And I think early game, I mean, that is the only response. Either you are insane players, and I mean, I'm pretty confident in my bot lane, so I'm not too worried about it. That you can read a matchup based on champ select, or you just have better early game macro, and we do. So it's not that big a deal to me.
Yeah, and we saw Unicorns of Love, though, very much fall prey to this, not knowing the limits of these champions, not expecting the Fiddlesticks Gangplank combo to do as much damage as it did. We saw that specifically in First Blood as we take a look at that now. This is that awkward moment where you realize you maybe don't understand the matchup as well as you thought you did.
Yeah, so you have a lot of early game damage with Fiddle, Ignite, but also Heimerdinger is surprisingly squishy. They did have to use 2 flashes to get this. My biggest issue as the player was that they didn't use the Pirate Fiddlestick skin to have ultimate Pirate synergy down in the bot lane, and that would have made that first blood kill so much more impactful.
I regret everything.
But it's a really good bot lane, right? Because we were talking about what makes it super good, and Moose came to the conclusion that it just has a lot of sustain. And you have Drain, you have the oranges, you can't really get locked down with CC. You kind of do lose in push, but then with the Fiddle, who's typically a good laner anyway, you have a decent amount of poke. So I feel like it does make sense, and it's kind of like a pseudo-Vladimir was one way we kind of looked at it.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, it's always kind of worrying against Fnatic to play against them, because even in this draft, it's hard to know going into the game where Gangplank and Gragas are going to go. So
True.
It's really hard to prepare for matchups till you're actually on the Rift until you're actually in lane, which is kind of scary to play against. And especially when they know how to play their picks so well, because no one is going to have practice against a Gangplank Fiddlesticks lane unless they've been scrimming Fnatic. So to see the fact that they've probably scrimmed it a lot and they have this much potency on it is, you know, it's
And they have more.
Yeah, and they have
I mean, sure. It just is so.
But the other thing about it, the strength that you credited Fnatic earlier when we got into this game, when we were talking about picks and bans, was strong individual players. We saw that in Caps. We saw that in the mid lane. We should look back on a few of these moments that really set him up for success. Caps played through himself. Vedius is what you said, and I just want to repeat that here. Caps This is disgusting.
He's really good at League of Legends. The thing about Caps is, so far this split, he hasn't really shone or stood out to me. Like, he's been good, don't get me wrong, but not this level of good. Not I will put the team on my back good. Not MSI performances. And this kind of throws back to the Caps at MSI where we all thought to ourselves, damn, this guy could be one of the best mid laners in the world. And sure, it is against Exileh, it is against the Unicorns of Love, but the mechanical prowess he demonstrated today will probably make a lot of Fnatic fans very excited.
So how you feeling, Moose? That's kind of the round-out question. Obviously, Caps was fantastic. He crushed it.
Oh, my hand.
Are you uncertain?
I'm good.
Oh, he's
That's
good.
confidence. He doesn't need the hand-holding.
No sweat.
All right, so you're feeling good about this match of the week. Are you calling this 70-30, 50-60-40? Is it 100-0? How confident are you?
I mean, every League of Legends game is a 50-50.
Oh,
I
what
think
a
it's a
cop-out.
Confident enough for a cop-out. I like it.
60-40, I think, in our favor if we stick to what we've learned about early game. And if we drop the ball in early game, then I think Fnatic
I mean, if you drop the ball in early game, we know what's happened. So let's take a look at this one last little set of Caps highlights, because you know what happens when you let this man get ahead. When you put this man in a position to carry, you get moments like this where he's just making highlight reels.
Well, I mean, so
he's in Adobe Premiere right now editing a highlight reel. I know it looks like League of Legends, but this is definitely just a highlight reel.
We're not going to drop the ball mid lane.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big differences that I'm expecting. And again, we already talked so much about Caps' mechanical prowess. He did have a phenomenal game. That he was playing for his KDA at this point. He's tired of Alfari being first place, and he says, I want to get myself up there. But everything that we highlighted in the pregame is exactly what we saw. This team finds a lot of early game skirmishes and a lot of fighting. They rely a lot on their individual talent and ability to make plays, and Misfits is very aware of that. So they are a team that is prepared. Whether or not you can handle it is another question, which is kind of what we're going to find out tomorrow.
Exactly.
But they are expecting it. So I do not think that Misfits will be completely caught off guard by this kind of play from Fnatic.
And I think well-deserved. Caps does get player of the game. 88% of the votes. 88?
There are 12% of people that thought, I really think
it was
Hylissang
that Broxah gang after Caps already got 2 solo kills. That's what really broke the game open.
Yeah.
Well, either way, a fantastic performance from Caps. Now, before we move forward, Moose, I do want to ask, any closing thoughts, any final statement to build confidence from the Misfits fan base?
Throw down some smack?
I mean,
What?
this is fun to watch because you have new picks from Fnatic, but this is none of this is something we don't expect. Like, this is not surprising to us.
For sure.
And if they're planning on surprising us in terms of individual strength and trying to win the game through that, I don't think it's going to work. So I would hope that they have, something more than just will surprise you and outplay you individually, because it's not going to work.
Spicy
Nice.
trash talk.
Got him. Hear that, Misfits fans? Keep the faith. Well, coming up next, it's a big matchup between top teams G2 Esports and Vitality. Another battle in the top 4. G2 only 1 win ahead before this game. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
Kold, Exileh, Totoro being a great combination. In this meta, you fight a lot, you get your mid lane hit. Bot lane!
Oh my goodness! Works for Unicorns to send Kold into the mid, and Exileh's going to need some more help because we've got another all-in here. Gangplank getting a little bit of an assist, and Exileh, we've seen this movie before. A weakness maybe being they need to force these fights as, oh, just stop, he's already dead! And look at Caps and Broxah, about enough time for them to come to this party, and it looks like it will be Unicorns going away. Kold, he's gone down, and they just couldn't find a thing but Hylissang. WhiteKnight does get 1 kill for his trouble staying alive and all. This is a little bit tense right now as Caps goes legendary, picking up 2. The immortal Caps looking to stack it up. Shut down Gold, 15 kills and a Nexus. GG and good night.